going to ask you to hold on this for a sec. Thank you. Sure. Therapist at Walter Reed would not be happy with those steps. They were a little stiff, but I've been sitting down for a while. Up until this moment, I thought getting shot at was the most nerve-wracking thing. But this is kind of intimidating. First, I'd like to thank Lieutenant General Ms. Miller and your daughter I just met today. Colonel Brian Lean, Sergeant Major Buckle, my former coach and also a fellow soldier and veteran, Commissioner Eric Maxwell, Mayor Don Haddix, and Congressman Collins. My family, my friends, most importantly, I'd like to thank everyone else that's here today. The fact that I don't know most of the people in this crowd speaks volumes about this community. I've spoken with a lot of people since my injury, and one thing I hear a lot is that people think that I have a great attitude and outlook towards life. Well, I want to share a funny little story with you. It might explain where my good attitude comes from. When I woke up from the induced coma at Walter Reed 7 days after getting hit in Afghanistan, I was surprised to find out, not that I had lost my legs, because I already knew that, but that my jaw was broken and had been wired shut. After several days and several major surgeries, I was finally lucid enough to realize that having my jaw wired shut meant that I couldn't eat any kind of normal food. No solid food, no mashed potatoes, no soups even. I'm talking just water, Gatorade, and broth. It meant that I could barely communicate with my nurses and I could barely communicate with my family. One day, I'm in my hospital room, in between surgeries, and my brother's there with me. He's talking, more accurately, Rob is talking to me, and I'm just kind of mumbling back as best I can. When my dad walks into the room with a McDonald's cheeseburger in his hand. And my brother turns to my dad and he says, "Dad, are you seriously going to eat that right here in front of Dan?" To which my dad quickly replied, "Well, you don't seem to mind walking around in front of him, so why can't I eat a cheeseburger?" And so that's a little snapshot of what it's like in the Berschinski family, and I also think it's a telling example of why I've been able to endure this new change in my life. We don't take things too seriously. We all know, however, that good attitude isn't enough to get you through life unscathed. Most of us succeed with the help and the support of others. I know this is true for me, and it's true for my family as well. Nothing makes that more evident than the tremendous amount of support that my family and I have gotten from this community. Now, I appreciate all of that, and with my utmost sincerity, I say thank you. Thank you so very much. But this isn't just about me, and it's not just about me having a chance to say thanks. My family and friends who know me best will tell you that I never really enjoy being the center of attention, and it's true, I really don't. So this moment, this whole weekend is a bit much for me to handle, but this weekend isn't just about me. It's actually about the men and women that I have reluctantly come to symbolize. It's about those that have gone before, those that are there right now at this very moment, and those that will go when, despite our best intentions and utmost desire, our country calls on them for more service and sacrifice. This weekend is all about soldiers and servicemen and women. This weekend is about my soldiers, the platoon that I commanded and trained at Fort Lewis. It's about the dozen or so soldiers who in the late fall of 2008 decided to re-enlist despite the fact that our battalion was headed for an imminent deployment, despite the fact that several had already been wounded in previous tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, despite the fact that many of those men had beautiful young wives and children that they were then going to leave behind. And despite the fact that I, a brand new platoon leader with absolutely no combat experience, would be leading them in Afghanistan. These men had a chance to walk away before we left for combat, but I watched each and every one of them raise their hand and promise to continue the fight for this nation. This weekend is about my forward observer, Jonathan Yanni. 20-year-old Jonathan Yanni of Litchfield, Minnesota. As my forward observer, I trusted Yanni to talk to the helicopters that made gun runs danger close to my platoon when we were in contact with the enemy. I trusted Yanni to talk to the artillery that shot rounds over our heads and into the enemy's positions. And in return, Yanni trusted me to make the decisions that would control his life in a combat zone. And so on August 18th, 2009, 7 or 8 hours before I stepped on the explosive that took my legs, 3rd Platoon of my battalion's Alpha Company was ambushed, about 1,000 meters away from my platoon's position. Yanni trusted me to lead our platoon to 3rd's position so that we could reinforce them in their fight. I took Yanni's and the rest of my platoon's trust, and I led my men away from town and into a pomegranate orchard. I sent a squad across a small footbridge, waited for them to get into position, and then I moved across the bridge with my radio man walking right next to me, and Yanni walking, as every good infantryman knows to do, 3 to 5 meters behind me, close enough to get to me should I need him to call in support, but far enough away to not take out another soldier should an explosion occur under or near Yanni. And that's where Yanni was, 3 to 5 meters behind me, when he stepped on the trigger of an improvised explosive device. Within 1/100th of a second, the front half of my platoon was thrown face down into the Afghan dirt, and Yanni and his trust were taken away forever. This weekend is about Yanni. It's about Sergeant First Class McCluskey from Fayetteville. It's about Lieutenant Robert Collins of Tyrone. This weekend is about everyone that's ever been willing to put personal concern aside for the sake of our nation and our fellow brothers in arms. So again, I thank my family, friends, and community for everything that you've done for me and the others that are much more deserving than I. If I can ask one more favor of this community, I ask that the focus this weekend, from this very moment on, not be on me, but rather on all of my brothers and sisters that have made a sacrifice for our nation. Duty, honor, country. Thank you.